Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Okay, it's been quite the journey the past couple weeks, and I just want to give you guys a little bit recap. So the last couple weeks have been a little bit weird with filming and posting. I haven't really been doing much of either, obviously. I did go on my first trip with the van. Since last video, we've done a couple of changes, just a couple more tweaks and things, and I'll show you guys that right now. I'm super happy with how the van's turned out. There's just a couple things that we need to do now to get it 100% done. So I took it on my first ever trip, which was super exciting. So basically the trip was for a festival called Wanderlust, and one of the locations of this festival is in Stratton, Vermont. It's on Stratton Mountain in the ski resort town. We drove the van, or me and two girls from online that I've met, drove the van from Connecticut to Vermont. It's about a 2.5 hour drive. I tried to film a little bit, but I ended up not filming a lot because it was raining and there were other issues, and I just ended up not filming as much as I initially had thought. I was planning on doing a whole video on just Wanderlust Fest and the van and my experience there, doing yoga and all that stuff, and just ended up not happening. So I'm going to try to be better about that type of thing in the future. But the reason I didn't film was because there were unforeseen issues with the van. Nothing crazy, but I will explain all of it right now. So we left, when we left, the van was hooked up to shore power, which means it was plugged into my parents' house to charge up the batteries and run the fridge for a little while before we switched to full solar. So it was sunny on the drive up, so there was no issue with any of the power, the batteries, anything like that while we were driving up. However, when we got there, it did rain for 2 days, and each time the sun would go away, the batteries would drop below critical levels, which for a 6-volt AGM battery, you don't want to let it get below like 60 to 50%, which is getting to be at the point where the batteries are going to become damaged if you continue to let it get that low for long periods of time. So I was a little bit worried, considering the batteries were at 100 when we left and while we were driving up. So when the sun would go away, or specifically at night, the batteries were dropping to like 20%. Some nights they went to 0, and I was very concerned. One, why was this happening? And two, because I didn't want to damage the batteries any further. So I ended up just unplugging everything, the fridge, the inverter, all the lights, everything. Like, I basically shut the van down and nothing was functioning because I didn't want to have anything drawing on the batteries. And even when there was nothing drawing on the batteries, it was still going to 0. So I knew there was some kind of serious problem. But I just tried to enjoy my time at the festival, and I did have a great time. But that's why I didn't film anything, because there was nothing to film in the van. It was just sitting, and we slept in a tent. So when we got back, we did some troubleshooting on the van. So we did test the batteries. One of them is at 6.5 or 6.6, maybe even 6.8, which is very, very good. That's what it should be at for a 6-volt battery without any draw on it. The other one was at about a 5.2, which is basically the battery's gone. And so we unplugged the battery from the other battery, took it out, brought it into the garage, let it sit for a couple minutes, tested it again. It was at about a 4 point something. So that's when we knew the battery was dead. So that is what was wrong, which is very, very exciting because I was worried that it was going to be something a lot more intense, or we would bring it home and I wouldn't be able to figure out what was wrong with the van. That was my biggest fear. So we did call Renogy, which is the company that I bought my solar panels from, the inverter from, the batteries that I actually bought. I didn't buy them through Renogy, but I bought them on Amazon. Renogy actually recommends that you buy this brand. It's on their website. So it's a brand that Renogy does back. So I called Renogy and I explained to them all my issues, and basically they said, yeah, that's what the problem was. It doesn't seem like any other part of my solar setup is having any issues besides that one battery, and that's what can make it go down to zero like that if one of the batteries is bad. So thankfully we figured out what the issue was. We took the battery out, we sent it back for warranty, and they're going to send us a brand new one. So we'll see. I have not received the new battery yet, but I will update you guys when I do, and I'll make a whole video about, our solar setup after the batteries come in. But yeah, that is the story of what happened at Wanderlust. I will kind of talk about a little bit more what's next for the van build and what's next for me in my life. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll give you that tour now. Okay, so the next, now that I'm back from my trip, the next thing we're going to be doing is just finishing up some of the little details. We have 2 big things that we're working on, actually 3. So the first thing is this area right here. I hope you guys enjoy my nice farmer's sunburn from the from the festival. But yeah, so here we're gonna be doing 2 drawers, or actually 2 cabinet doors on the bottom here that will open up so I can have access to the water and stuff. And then up here, this is going to be 1 drawer that goes to about here, and it will go all the way back. So 1 long drawer I can pull out, use, for utensils, things like that. And then here we're going to have a little shorter drawer because the drain is right here, so it will have to be a shorter one. So there's going to be 2 drawers and 2 doors. So there's that section, and then we have another one back here, so I'll show you that as well. Okay, so the other thing that we need to do is the bed is here. It's in permanently, but I'd like the front to be storage. So the way it's going to work is probably about halfway through the bed. The front part will be drawers. So just like the kitchen area that's right here, it's going to probably be 2 drawers, and then below it 2 bigger drawers, like big square ones that I can pull out for clothes and stuff like that. And then behind it in the back will just be open for random gear and stuff that I need. Those are the 2 big things, and then obviously the other thing is the solar, getting that battery set up. But I will give you I'll show you what that looks like right now with the battery out. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see from here, but this is the underside of the bed, and right here, that's where the other battery was, so it's been taken out. And then once we get that new battery in, we'll be able to hook it up, and hopefully the system will work like it's supposed to and not die immediately when the sun goes away. One more quick thing I just want to show you guys before we go is we did make this cool little, you can't really see it, but it's like a bungee cord strap that holds the stove in right up against that wall so it doesn't fall down while I'm driving, and I think it's really awesome. And then a lot of this stuff has been finished as well. So the doors up there, these doors on the side have magnets on them now. This little thing that stops things from falling off this shelf here. So just a lot of finishing touches have been done, and mainly it's just these 2 areas that need to be finished before it's pretty much ready to go. Okay guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. Next video will hopefully be more upgrades and things like that. I do plan on taking it on a couple more trips this summer before I leave for good in probably November. So keep in touch and follow along if you're interested in my van life journey. All right, see you guys later.